Hello everyone, welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. Don't forget to subscribe. Well, my next guest grew up on a ranch, was a rodeo cowboy at a young age, then transitioned into the NFL, and now is back to being a rodeo cowboy. 2012 Super Bowl champion, Bear Pascoe. Bear, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Luke. Good to see you, buddy.
Likewise. A lot of people don't really even understand. They're like, Bear Pascoe's starting to steer wrestler, but they don't understand you won a truck team roping at a young age before, you got into all this football stuff.
Yeah, I was 15. It was back when Booger Barter was putting those ropings on all over the U.S., and he did one in Rancho Murrieta. My sister and I, we went up there, and back in those days, there was no limit on how much you can enter those ropings, so they roped till 2-3 o'clock in the morning and had 1,200 teams, and he was giving away a truck for each high numbered roper and capped it at a 3, and so I ended up winning the high truck number 2 roper that weekend. So I did all the paperwork on it, and they're like, okay, here's your keys, and I was like, I don't have a driver's license. How am I getting this home? And luckily Sarah, my sister, she was there. She ended up driving it home for me. Back then we lived 3 miles off the paved road, so when we hit the turnoff off the highway to go to the house, we swapped, and she let me drive it from the highway to the house. So I got to drive it for about 3 miles. Pretty fun little experience.
Well, growing up, obviously your dad, ranching family, but your dad also played football but decided to go the cowboy route, did he not?
That's correct, yeah. It was kind of one of the things that inspired me to go play football. For him, he graduated Garces High School, went to Bakersfield Junior College for a couple of years, and then he got recruited by Colorado State and went and played at Colorado for I want to say 1 or 2 seasons. He hurt his shoulder real bad, and that was kind of one of the things that kind of was the deciding factor to come back home to the ranch and cowboy and rodeo and stuff. But I remember one time when I was a little kid, I was 7 or 8 years old. Well, I found this old box, and it had all the letters from NFL teams that were recruiting him before he decided to go rodeo. I was like, holy cow, he actually had a shot to go on and go play, and decided to come home and rodeo and start a family.
Obviously winning the Super Bowl 2012 and playing with the Giants had to be, going to the big city, not something you were quite used to.
Exactly, yeah. Going from San Francisco all the way across the country to the New York City was a big adjustment. It took a little bit to get used to the fast pace and stuff like that. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'd love to go back and take in the nightlife, the food, and maybe a Broadway show or two. I don't know. Who knows? But
now, obviously, you're plenty busy with things going on at the ranch and rodeoing yourself, married into a world championship family. You went from Super Bowl champion, now you're going to go try to get a gold buckle. And I know when you were coming out to the house to practice, you were still somewhat under a contract where you weren't able to jump steers at that point.
Kind of had to keep it hush-hush, because when you're under contract with a NFL team, they kind of say they don't want you doing hazardous activities. I guess you could deem steer wrestling as hazardous to a point. That was one thing Johnny told me when Katie and I first started dating, and he kind of knew I wanted to steer wrestle at some point. He said, made me promise him that I wouldn't shoot dog or anything like that in his arena until I was fully retired. So
to watch you transition from professional athlete of football to now a professional steer wrestler, for me it's been awesome to watch because people just don't pick up and become successful. You took to it right away, from the first steers you jumped to the first rodeos you won. I mean, it was not very long from your first time transition off the horse to your first W, which I got to see it and was pretty cool. I mean, what does that got to feel and mean to you to be able to do that and transition so fast?
A lot of luck. Had a lot of good coaches in my corner, from you and Johnny to Jack Roddy, guys like that. I think at that point, coming fresh out of the NFL, I was still trained like an athlete. And when you love doing something, it's not work.
And obviously, that I'm assuming, and I know you've said it, but the goal is to make the national finals and try to win a gold buckle. And not only are you trying to do that, but your wife, Katie, she had a great year this year in the barrel racing and just barely missed the national finals herself.
The last couple of years, she's been right there on the edge, kind of right there on the bubble. And she's got a great horse underneath her, Naughty, that she raised and trained. And, I think with a chance for her this year to go to the winter rodeos and have some success down there, it could be a completely different year for her. I'm excited to watch her.
What is the crossover in the mental game preparing for a football game comparing to a rodeo practice and everything in between?
You break down like the game of football. You know, it's a very technically sound game, but we can slow it down, we can break it down and work on specific parts of each play or technique, getting ready for a game. You know, usually you come in on Wednesday, got practice, you go first down, second down, Thursdays, third and long, Fridays, third and short yardage, goal line, stuff like that. So you're able to like compartmentalize the game and then just work on certain sections of that game. You know, the thing about rodeo is, especially steer wrestling, is it happens so fast. You know, I might be a little off nowadays with the steer wrestling dummies and stuff that we have that can help us slow the process down. But when you move to live cattle, all that kind of goes out the window. You know, I can't whisper in his ear, steer's ear when we're in the shoot, like, hey, can you just lope down the arena this time? You've got to come at steer wrestling in the same stance of football. If I don't get better at everything today, that's okay, but I'm going to pick one thing and get better at it today.
I appreciate you coming on the show, and I am very confident in the success you're going to have inside the arena.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. I hope to see you while we're out there this winter.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it.